Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about Neon Abyss. And Neon Abyss is a new action-platforming roguelite that recently came out that is pretty interesting. The closest comparison I would give is it's kind of like a mix between Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon. In terms of gameplay, it's closer to Enter the Gungeon, but in like a 2D platformy way. But in terms of how like room layouts work and weapon upgrades, it's really close to Binding of Isaac. And actually, the more I play the game, the closer and closer I think it is to Binding of Isaac. So much so that there are some items in this game that are almost like one-for-one copies of items in Binding of Isaac. And they also share a bunch of features as well. Just as a couple examples, you have one treasure room per floor that eventually will cost one key to enter. You have rooms you'll need grenades to open up, chests that you may need keys for, secret rooms you can blow up with grenades. There's even kind of like a morality system where you can either eventually go to like a devil deal and spend 1 heart to pick from 3 items, or if you take like no damage for a while, you can go to like an angel room and get a free item. And so if you've played Binding of Isaac, you'll notice a lot of similarities from that and Neon Abyss. The gameplay, however, is completely different. You can find different weapons and passive items that make your weapons even stronger. So you could find items that increase your weapon damage, or how many shots you fire, or how fast you fire. But you can also overall level up your just weapon level in itself. And this applies to all weapons you pick up. So if you upgraded your like default weapon twice and pick up a new weapon, the new weapon will be level 2, which is pretty cool. And it really makes it more viable to keep like still using some of like the default weapons or just certain weapons, because they all can be decent if leveled up. And that also means that not every weapon is just like a direct upgrade of other weapons. So sometimes you actually want to keep switching between weapons to see what is actually going to be better with all of the synergies you have on all the items and everything. And speaking of synergies, there are some really cool synergies that can happen. So like in one of my runs, I had kind of like a lock-on brimstone type gun that fired like 5 different tentacles that caught enemies on fire and killed them. And that was because I had a couple different abilities combined with this one gun that just synergized really well together. So the game does a great job in terms of that. The movement mechanics seem a little stiff in my opinion. You don't have as much air control as you would expect at first, and that is a little disappointing since it is like a platformer, but you do kind of get used to it. The only other slight annoyance I have with this is it's kind of combined with the movement, but in order to pick up like keys or coins or grenades or just things around the world, it seems like your character, the center of your character literally has to touch like the center of the item. So if there's a bunch of coins around, you can't just like jump around and pick them up real fast. You have to make sure you literally touch the center of the coin with the center of your character, which can get a little annoying after a while. To finish up each floor, there are boss fights, and the bosses overall are pretty unique from each other, and all the different bosses can be different difficulties. So you could be in one playthrough and have a boss as your first floor boss, and have it be pretty easy because it's a floor 1 boss, but then in your next playthrough, it could show up on like floor 6, and you might have a much more difficult version of it, which I kind of like because you kind of see all the different bosses both being easy and challenging. Another cool gimmick that this game has is there's one special type of drop you can find that are these eggs, and when you pick them up, they kind of follow you around, and after a while they hatch into random pets, and there's a bunch of different pets and followers that they can be, and they'll do different things. They could either like fire at your opponents or block some shots, and they can either die if they get hit enough, or they'll like evolve and keep getting more and more powerful, and they're really, really cool, and I love the concept, but my only issue with it is late game. Some of them can actually be harmful and really, really annoying, and make you not want to pick up any of them at all. So like as an example, say you had a weapon that was explode, maybe you were doing like rocket launchers, or you just had an item that make your bullets explode. Well, if you have like a follower that's blocking shots, it'll block your shots as well, so you just keep damaging yourself because you keep hitting your own follower. And so sometimes it can just be a little annoying. And kind of just going along with that, the later you go in the game, sometimes it gets really, really cluttered. When you have like 10 different followers and there's all of these enemies and your bullets are really, really large, sometimes it's a little hard to see what's actually going on, and that can make you actually take some unwanted damage. Even if you have a really powerful build, I found myself taking damage sometimes just because I couldn't see enemy projectiles, and obviously part of that's on me. I need to get better at the game and whatnot, but that is kind of a thing that I think this game, has an issue with. And the graphics and visuals are amazing. I really like the pixel graphics along with like the neon coloring, and kind of, the soundtrack is really awesome. And I just like the kind of tone and theme of the game in its entirety. It doesn't get old at all. So the core gameplay is fun enough and it's very polished, but now I want to talk about progression, because if you've watched any of my previous videos talking about roguelites, you know that I always say roguelites live or die on their progression. So how does it work in this game? Well, every time you kill a boss, they drop a special coin, and in between runs, there's a whole progression tree that unlocks new items, new characters, new rooms, or even kind of just cool new features that the game can do. The only problem with it is so freaking grindy. So at the time of recording this video, I have a little over 5 hours of gameplay, and I've only been able to unlock like 1/3 of all of the things on page 1 of the tree, and there's like 6 pages. And you might think at first that means that there's a lot to unlock and I shouldn't be complaining because I have a lot more gameplay that I get to go through, but that's not really how it seems. It more just seems like they put a massive grind to unlock things and kind of like artificially increase how much progression was in the game. And just as an example with this, the first character you unlock, it costs 15 coins to unlock. So keep in mind, you only get 1 coin per boss fight that you clear. So if you do a run that takes like 45 minutes and you kill maybe 5 or 6 bosses, you're gonna have to do that about like 3 total times to even unlock one single thing on the path. And apparently later in the tree, to unlock another one of the characters, it takes like 30 coins, so that's double that amount of time. And a lot of these things in the tree, they're just random items that get added to the item pool, so it's not even like it should take that long, especially when some of the items don't do that much or they're not good. It's just they kind of scatter it out, and it takes so long to actually progress in it. So because of how this is happening, the way you kind of progress in like the story of the game is at first there's 5 floors, and you kill the final boss on floor 5, the game ends, you unlock a new boss to kill, and that extends it to like floor 7. You go up to 7 floors, and you keep doing that over and over and over till you kill 5 bosses. So people have been killing all of the main bosses in about 20 to 25 hours, obviously depending on how good you are and whatnot. But after that, there's all they really have is to just keep still slowly progressing in this really grindy tree. And I really like overall how this progression tree is laid out. I really like the concept and the idea that you're constantly working towards something just by playing the game, and the fact that you can kind of pick and choose which trees you want to go down first. But it should not take 3 to 4 hours of grinding boss coins to get a single new item. I mean, it's bad when I'm already hearing like guides of people telling other people, I don't know if this is the optimal way, but a lot of people are like, oh, you should just, keep playing the first boss over and over and over. So clear the first boss, restart the run, clear the first boss, restart the run. It's like that type of, the progression system shouldn't promote that. And I think it's just artificially, doing that so it can say it has all of this progression. And also that wouldn't be a problem if the game itself had a lot of variety, because even I have started to see these same kind of enemy types and enemy patterns and just room layouts, and it's making play through it again and again and again. It kind of gets old after a little bit, but I'm still having a ton of fun. And the last thing I want to kind of complain about is there is day 1 DLC in this game. So the way they're doing it is kind of quirky and interesting, but if you buy Neon Abyss in the first week of it coming out, you get 2 DLC characters for free. But after that first like launch week period, they're going to be charging money for that, which means there is just day 1 DLC. They just happen to be giving it out for free the first week. But I am not I am not okay with day 1 DLC. I think it's really scummy, and especially the way they're doing it here, it's like they're kind of manipulating people to buy the game right now, otherwise you're going to miss out and have to pay more, and I just don't like that. But overall, I've been complaining a lot about the progression system and the DLC and variety and end game, but overall the game is solid enough, and I think that there is a lot of fun to be had as long as you're not expecting like the next Binding of Isaac where you're gonna get like 500 hours of gameplay. If you get this game for $20 and you play it for like 20 to 30 hours and beat all the bosses and get a lot of the progression done, I think it's worth it for your money, because this game does a lot of unique unique gimmicks. I don't know if they necessarily all, succeed perfectly, like as an example with the pets. I love the pet system, the egg system. I think it's really unique. I think it just needs to be, changed a little bit, maybe make it where you can't like hit your own things or whatnot. But I think it does enough, and I think it's overall very polished well, and the presentation on it is really awesome, and it looks really, really cool. So overall, as long as you know that you're only going to be getting like 20 to 30 hours of, gameplay, and it's not going to be like the next huge time sink, I think you'll enjoy the game, and I think, for what it is, I think it's fairly enjoyable. So if you have played Neon Abyss or just from watching gameplay, I would love to know your guys' thoughts on it in the comments down below. I try to respond to as many of you guys as possible. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. I make 2 video reviews a week just on a wide variety of games. So if you want to, see those when they come out, definitely subscribe down below and even, ring that bell or whatever the youngins are saying nowadays. But if you guys are having a great day today, I hope you continue having a great day. If you guys aren't having a great day, I hope you guys start having a great day. But either way, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. See you guys next time.